welcome to my channel. My name is Leah, and today I'm going to be building a cottage in The Sims 4, which is inspired by Bella and Edward's honeymoon cottage in the Twilight Saga. If you're unfamiliar with the Twilight Saga, at the end of the series, whenever Bella and Edward get married, they're gifted a cottage in the woods by Edward's family for them to start their life together in as a married couple. And it's super cute. It's in the woods, it's cozy, it's kind of like a fairy tale cottage, and that's what made people who are fans of the books so excited to see that set adapted into the movies. And that's also what made me so excited to build it in The Sims. I got all of my reference photos for this build from a blog, which I'll link down below in the description box. And I also made a version of this video that doesn't have my voiceover in it. And if you're interested in watching that, I will link it here. Don't forget to subscribe for more Sims content, and let's get right into the video. So I'm starting out on this lot, which is in Forgotten Hollow, and Forgotten Hollow is where I'm making all of my Twilight-inspired Sims. This build is actually a part of a project that I'm working on where I want to fill this whole save file with Sims and builds that are inspired from pop culture. I just decided to start with Twilight. I don't know why. I think it's because I was watching Twilight with my husband, so I was just, I don't know, in a Twilight mood. But yeah, I'm gonna do more movies and shows and stuff in this save file. In the background, you can see I made Charlie's house, the house that Bella lives in with Charlie, her dad, and that was really fun. That video is also on my channel. You can watch that if you'd like. But yeah, starting out, I really struggled to make the shell of this house for some reason. I really don't know why, because it's like not that complicated, but I was really struggling with it, and I was struggling even more to roof the house. I don't know. I have always struggled to put roofs on houses in The Sims 4. It's not that easy to me. I know it's easy for other people and that people have made tutorials, and I just can't seem to figure it out. Yeah, but next I put the shingles on the roof, and I tried to match them as closely as I could to the pictures. And these pictures that you're seeing, you can see that I'm switching tabs over to this blog post. This blog post was really interesting to read. She included a lot of details about the Twilight Saga and like pictures and stuff that I had never seen before, and it was just really cool. I was actually researching her blog, and I found out that she actually passed away, which is pretty sad. But you can still read all of her blog posts. She was an interior designer, which is why she was so interested in this cottage, because the interior is really pretty. Yeah, so if you're ever looking for interior design inspiration, you should check out her blog. It was pretty good. I put this little, I don't even know what that thing is called, this like awning thing onto the side, because that's what it shows in the picture. And it was kind of difficult for me to decide which awning would be perfect, and then also to find windows, because you can tell that there is like a bay window sort of thing in the picture, but it doesn't actually have that bump out like the window in The Sims does. But I just went ahead and put that window because it was the one that matched the closest. And then above it, there's this window that has like a point. It comes to a point at the top. You can see here I'm trying to figure out which window is going to look best and which awning. Yeah, but anyway, and above the window, there's this window that kind of comes to a point. And it was really difficult for me to find a window like that. I was trying and I couldn't find anything. So I was thinking about like mixing two of the windows together, because there's a smaller one that comes to a point at the top. I was gonna put that one on top of like a longer one, if that makes sense, but I decided not to. You'll see that later in the video. But yeah, I'm just putting the windows on. And I chose that awning because I think it's from Cats and Dogs. I just thought it matched the best. Here you can see I'm trying to put that little window on top of the other window, and it just was not working out. So I just went with that window, even though it doesn't match exactly, but it's fine. It's fine. This house is inspired by the cottage. It's not supposed to be an exact replica of the cottage. Yeah, and then I put I don't remember what those things are called. The like trim, the roof trim. And oh, there's this little thing on the top of the roof. It's like a decoration. I was trying to put that on there, but I couldn't find anything that matched it perfectly, so I just didn't. And then I put the lights on top of the door. And that door I chose because it has the same iron hinges as the one in the picture, and I just thought that was too cute to pass up. It doesn't match it exactly like above, like the window part of it doesn't match exactly, but the hinges are perfect, so I just had to use it. And then yeah, I'm trying to figure out the roof. Like I said, roofing is really hard in The Sims. And here's some more of the pictures that are included in that blog post. And I was thinking about lifting it up off the ground, but I decided not to because it didn't really match with like the vibe that was going on, and I didn't want to have to add stairs, so I just didn't. Now I'm trying to look for a terrain paint that matches. There's like a stone walkway that goes up to the door, and it's super beautiful, and I wanted to really capture the essence of how pretty that was. So I was testing out a few different terrain paints, and I decided that this one was the best. So I was trying to make the walkway, and it took me a few tries to get the walkway to be perfect, as you can see. And then I was using the terrain paint to go under the house. This is a different terrain paint. It's like a dirt one. And I put it under the house to kind of, I don't know, make the house blend in a little bit more, to not look so flat, to give it some depth, some dimension. And yeah, the sound is kind of funny when I was doing that. When I sped up the video, it made it sound funny. And then I added some trees because this house is supposed to be in the forest, like in the middle of the woods. It's supposed to be like a stone house that was abandoned in the middle of the woods. So I tried to add as many trees as I possibly could into this lot. And I put that little lantern down to be, I don't know, to like illuminate the path as you were walking. And then I started with the plants, and as you can see, I really went ham with the plants. I went ham with the plants because, I don't know, when you look at that walkway in the pictures, it's covered with plants. And so I was trying to make it match the picture and to look as beautiful, magical, and fairy tale-like as I possibly could. So I just added as many plants as I possibly could. I added all of the plants. Like, I went into debug even, and I picked out some plants. I went ham with these plants, and I'm glad that I did because it ended up looking really good. I've never really like done a lot of landscaping in The Sims before. I don't know why. I mean, I like to build houses, but when it comes to the outside, I've never really been that great at landscaping. But I don't know. I thought that this one was pretty good, pretty decent. That hedge in that corner was not working out the way that I wanted it to, so I had to add something different into the corners. One thing that I don't like about adding plants to the outside of the houses is that sometimes they clip into the houses whenever you're trying to, like when you use bb.move objects and you like get them as close to the house as you can, and then they start to clip inside of the house, and that's really annoying. So that was another thing that I was trying to avoid. And yeah, I put that little window in that inside corner, and I added some more lanterns to really illuminate that path as they were walking. And you'll see later, I tested out to see what it would look like at night, and it was really beautiful. And then I put these tall hedges around the rest of the cottage. And I know that seems lazy, and like I did it because I didn't want to landscape the rest of the house, and that is partially true, but also I put a bunch of trees behind the house, so you really can't see the back of the house whenever the build is done. Yeah. And then I finished out the landscaping by adding even more plants in front of this bay window. And yeah, this is my favorite landscaping by far that I've ever done in The Sims. I think it's so beautiful. And I added some more trees to really add to that forest vibe. And I tried to make the trees match each other and to match the background, like the world that we're living in, because I don't want the trees to look super out of place, you know? So I did my best. And I was going to add a weeping willow in the back. You can see I put that weeping willow. But after a few minutes of like looking at it, I realized that it really didn't match. So I deleted it and I added some more of the other kinds of trees. And then I added these, I think they're called evergreens. I added these evergreens into the back. So that's what I meant earlier when I said you can't really see the back of the house anyway, because I covered it up with evergreen trees. And then I'm adding some terrain paint below the trees, once again, to give them some depth and to not make them look so flat. And then I'm adding some stones in here. And this is just kind of to add some more visual interest, to make it not so, like, I don't know, messy, I guess, to make it look intentional. And then I saw in the blog post that there was, like, a stone fence around the cottage, and I thought that was so cute. So I added the stone fence as well. And I made the stone fence go all the way around the house, all the way around the lot. And then I left that opening in the front of the house so that the Sims can get through. And I did add a mailbox because I also wanted this build to be like playable. Like, I wanted it to look pretty, of course, but I also wanted it to be playable. Like, anybody could play with their Sims in this house. So I also added a trash can in the back for the same reason. I added some plants and some landscaping underneath of the fence to kind of give it the overgrown illusion, to make it look really whimsical. I think it looks good. I was trying to keep that path open though, so that the Sims could still get into the garden. I didn't want to completely block that path, because if I would have blocked that path, they would not have been able to access the garden at all. And then I added some ivy. There's a lot of ivy in the cottage, or on the cottage, and I wanted to replicate that as best as I could, but I was kind of struggling because there's not any ivy options in The Sims that have roses attached to them. There's the dead roses one from the vampires pack, which I did use a little bit of, but I didn't want it to all be dead, you know? I wanted it to be pretty, to be lifelike. So I did kind of a mix of some different ivies from some different packs. And then I also added the vampires ones. And then it was time to start on the inside. And okay, the inside is complicated because it's difficult to make it look exactly how the cottage is, because this is a game and it's just difficult. So this is where it really starts to get inspired by the cottage and not an exact replica of the cottage. I started by adding a bunch of these subtle saucer lights just so that I could see. They're not going to stay, I promise. I'm going to take them out, but I had to be able to see. And then I was looking on the picture to see what kind of floor they have, and they had like this dark wood floor, so I put that. And then I thought it was kind of ugly, to be honest, this ugly yellow colored wall. But to be honest, once everything is in, it started to match and to look pretty, so the yellow wasn't too bad. But at first I was like, seriously, we have to paint it yellow? And then a lot of the pictures of the cottage show that the decor in here and all the furniture was super eclectic. It was like a mix of modern and vintage furniture and lots of different colors, and there was a lot of clutter. It was very like lived in. So I really tried to make the inside as lived in looking as possible. I added this couch by the window because they actually have a window seat, I believe, in the picture, but we don't have a window seat. I mean, I guess I could have made it a window seat now that I'm thinking back on it. I could have actually done that. Okay, well, that's a mistake on my part. Anyway, yeah, here are the curtains, and the curtains in the picture are fully cream colored, and these ones are not, but that's fine. And then I added that little bump out that, like, I extended the wall a little bit because I wanted to add a fireplace into this living room. And it was when I was building this room that I started to understand that the layout of this house is not going to be perfect, and like where the furniture is not going to be perfect because the size and the proportion of these objects is different than real life. So it just was not going to work out like that. But I still tried to add everything that was like monumental. I don't know if monumental is the word. Important. That was important in the room. So I added those two red chairs because those were really standout pieces in that room. And then I was trying to find a rug that would match. And that circular like wicker rug, that one, it matches. That is the type of rug that it was, but it did not look good with this furniture, and it wasn't square or rectangle. And the rug in the picture is a rectangle, so I went with this one instead because it matched a little bit better. And then I decided to move everything over a little bit to, I don't know, give myself more space. And I had to use move objects to get the window perfect, but you can see later that I wasn't able to actually keep it like this, unfortunately. Yeah. And so after moving everything closer, I put a few side tables on, and I added some funky lamps because there was some funky lamps in the picture, which I thought were super cute. I added those on, and then I put, I wanted to put a bookshelf on that wall, but it wasn't like big enough. I wanted to put it in that corner, sorry, but it wasn't big enough, so I had to put it on the wall. And then I put this a coffee table down, and then I put a bunch of clutter on that coffee table because in the picture there is a ton of clutter on that coffee table. I put this like candlestick, I put a plant, and then I think I put a stack of books. We'll see. Yes, I put a stack of books. And then I put another bookshelf in. Don't worry, that bookshelf on the wall is not the only bookshelf that's going to be in this room. I don't think I did it quite yet, but you'll see when I do. And I did that because there is that scene whenever Bella finds the note left by Alice in one of the books, and that's a pretty iconic scene in one of the Breaking Dawn movies. So I added another bookshelf into this room. And then on top of the fireplace, I put quite a bit of clutter as well. I really liked those candles in the jars. And then I was gonna put that moon werewolf clock thing on the wall, but I didn't because it's werewolves and the vampires don't get along with werewolves. See, there's the bookshelf that I was talking about. And then on the wall I put this picture, and I thought it was so cute because in a couple of them it kind of looked like that one. It looked like she was laying in the meadow. I ended up going with that one though because it looked like it could be Renesmee a little bit. And then I wanted to add some fairy lights into this room to make it even more cozy, so I added some over the windows. And I love doing this in The Sims and in real life. I just think it adds so much charm and such a cozy feel to rooms. So then I added this mirror onto the wall, and I added that one just because it has this like mystical charm to it. I thought it was really cute. And then I added a bunch of windows in the dining room, and then it was time for me to pick out a dining room table, which was kind of difficult, but I ended up going with this one, which had the book holding up one of the corners because it made it feel more lived in, and I thought it was cute. And then I put a couch on one side because that's how it is in the picture. There's like a couch on one side for them to eat at, I guess. And then I was trying to find a chair that looked like a living room chair because that's really what the chairs are. They look like living room chairs. But that's the closest that I could find. It's not perfect, but it's all right. And then I put these candlesticks on the table, but I decided to go with this, I think it's called the tessellate candlesticks instead, because they actually light, and I think it's cute. And then I added this picture onto the wall in this back corner here, and it kind of looks like Italy a little bit, I think. And that's cool because, you know, Edward went to Italy in New Moon, so maybe that's like a picture from his travels or something. And then, yeah, I wanted to put a table there, but it wasn't working out. So instead I decided to put a set of plants into that corner, you know, in case I didn't have enough plants outside already. And yeah, I was trying to find a little plant that I could put in there to kind of fill that space up a little bit more, but I ended up not. And I put some more clutter around, really to make it look super lived in. And then I added the chandelier into the living room, and I think I added the same chandelier into the living room as well. I thought that those really matched the vibe. They were cute, and I wanted to keep this like eclectic vintage meets modern vibe going on. And then it was time to start working on the entryway, and I put these sconces up because there's sconces in the picture, but these sconces were really annoying me because I could not get them to perfectly line up with each other for some reason. I don't know if it was just the way that I was looking at them or what, but it was not lining up perfectly. So I changed those sconces eventually, but first I put that rug down, and then I put the suitcase with those books on it in that corner. And then the coat hanger, the coat rack, I tried to fill it up as much as I could with just stuff that I thought that they might have there, because there's no like actual picture of their entryway. Those sconces that I was telling you about in the picture are in a different place in the house. So yeah, I just kind of had to wing it in the entryway. I added this cubby with some clothes that I thought might look like something that Bella might wear. And then I added some more clutter on top of that. And then it was time for me to start building the kitchen. And this was another thing that kind of was stressing me out because there's no picture of a kitchen in any of these pictures. There's like no, I mean, I guess they're vampires, so they don't eat, but Renesmee is not a full vampire, you know, she still needs to eat. So I don't know why they don't have a kitchen at all in this set, but because of that, I had to wing it. I had to make a kitchen that I thought that they might have, even though I had nothing to work with. So, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this for a long time. Okay, so yeah, I went with this countertop at first, but it was not working out, so I changed it to another one. And then I added this refrigerator, not that one, because it was so cute and it totally matches the vibe, and it's full of food, you know, even though they probably won't eat it, but it makes it look cozier, okay? And I added this wall to make the kitchen be like in a corner. It just made it look more purposeful like that. And then I used some of the stuff from the kitchen clutter kit to make this kitchen come alive. I added the cabinets first, though, of course, and the stove. I can never remember what those things are called. The fan thing. See, that's the sink from the kitchen clutter kit, and I think it's so cute. I think it's the only sink that we have in The Sims that has like dirty dishes in it. I think it makes it look so much more lived in, you know? And yeah, I was looking to see what clutter I should add. I ended up going with this little plant set and like the dishwashing set. I added that table from the kitchen clutter kit as well. And then I put some clutter on it somewhere. I put some clutter around to make the kitchen look more lived in. Like somebody actually is living there and eating there and cooking there. And then yeah, over here I did the bedrooms. And it was kind of hard for me to like lay them out, to figure out how they should be laid out in this like hallway area. Especially because I had to make 2 bedrooms and a closet, because Bella has this huge closet that Alice made for her and gave her all these clothes, so I really wanted to include that in there. But that meant that I had 2 bedrooms and a closet to fit into this relatively small space. And I was kind of struggling with how I would make that work, but I did end up making it work. It just took me a while to figure out how to align it and everything. This room where I'm putting the chandelier is going to be Bella and Edward's room. And the whole point of Bella and Edward's room is that it's boring. There's nothing in it except for a bed. That's like the whole point. So that's quite literally what I did in that room, is I made it boring. I put nothing but a bed and I think a picture in there because, yeah, at first it was not fitting. The bed was not fitting. So I had to keep changing like the way that the room was set up, and it was really annoying. It was difficult, I'm not gonna lie, but eventually I got it figured out. And then this room over to the right, this square-shaped room, is going to be Renesmee's room, but the one that I'm putting the archway on, that's the closet. See, here, I'm getting it figured out. I think I'm getting it figured out, yeah. And, yeah, it was so hard. I'm not going to lie, it took me like 10 minutes in real life to figure out how to get this room set up. But here it is, it's finally figured out. And I know that the bed in the corner is not ideal because sometimes it's difficult for both of the Sims to get in the bed, but it's fine. It's going to have to work. This is the closet, and I wanted to make this closet as full and chic and beautiful as I possibly could because Alice is the one who made this closet for Bella, and I just know that if she made this closet and curated all of these clothes, that she would have made it as chic and beautiful as possible. And that was really a key feature of this house, I think. So I really wanted to make this closet as beautiful as I could. I was going to add 2 purse racks on that wall, but I decided not to. I just added more of these clothing rack shelf things. And I really like that mirrored wardrobe thing. I think that's really cool. I was trying to figure out some more things that I could put into this closet, and I ended up putting that picture on the wall and some like fairy lights around the top because, like I said before, I love putting fairy lights in The Sims. And I put this coat rack, this like hook thing over here, and I think I put some clutter. Yeah, I put some clutter around and some shoes on the floor. Just some things, you know, that I think Alice would have probably put in here to make Bella happy. Bella probably didn't care about the clothes, but Alice would have thought that it would have made her happy, probably. And yeah, I put that laundry basket down on the floor to make it look more realistic. And then I moved this bay window over to be fully in Renesmee's room because I hate it whenever like half of the window is in one room and half of the window is in the other. That's annoying. And then I put this light fixture in because I think that looks like something that Alice would like, that Alice would have picked out. I just think that's super cute. And it looks kind of spunky like her. So that's why I put that light fixture in there. And then I put a window into the bedroom because it was really boring and empty and it needed something to liven it up a little bit. So I put that window in there and that rug, and you can see I was trying to center the bed, but it just wasn't working. If I would have centered the bed, you would not have been able to get into the closet. So the bed is where it is for a reason, and I apologize. See, here I am again, trying really hard to figure out how I can put that bed in here, and yeah. Oh, I actually did center it. I didn't even remember that I centered it. Okay, well, I guess it is centered. Great. Yeah, so moving on, we're in Renesmee's room now, and her wallpaper is this really pretty, it's like white and striped, and I thought it was super cute, but I couldn't find an exact match to that in The Sims, so I just went with this blue and white striped one, because her furniture and everything is kind of like blue and white, like girly, ballerina-ish, like very feminine, chic. It's a total contrast to the rest of the house. The rest of the house is cute and cozy, but it's not like upscale like Renesmee's room is. So I wanted there to be a noticeable stylistic difference in Renesmee's room versus the rest of the house. And her room is really small, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to add as much stuff into this room as I wanted to. But I did try to get her bedside tables, like, the closest to her bedside table that I possibly could. And then I put this bed in there for her. I decided to go with her room whenever she was a little bit bigger because there wasn't any baby beds that would have matched this vibe. So, yeah, I went with the kid version of Renesmee. And also whenever I build her in Cass, I'm most likely going to build her as a kid because building babies is pretty boring in The Sims. Yeah, so there is her rug, which I put, and it's kind of antique-ish. In the blog that I was referencing, she wrote about how the directors and the producers of the Twilight movies went to various different antique shops in Louisiana to buy stuff for Renesmee's room. So I wanted it to look as antique-y as possible because that is, canon. And yeah, this is the wardrobe that I picked out for her. I was gonna put a shade over that window because she's a kid and, maybe people are like watching through her window. I don't know. It was a strange thought process, but I decided not to. And then I put some fairy lights in her room, and I was starting to realize that it wasn't really looking a whole lot like a kid's bedroom, so I put some, kids' arts and crafts up on the wall to kind of give it more of that kid's bedroom, look and feel. And, yeah, and then I put some clutter onto her bedside table, and I just put different things that I thought a kid or, a teenager might have on their bedside table, and I put an open book, First of all, I think that open book from Little Simsy's kit is super cute, so I just really wanted to use it. And second, I thought it was something that she would have liked. And then I got this far into the build before I realized that I did not put a bathroom in this house. How could I have forgotten that? I have no idea. But because of that, I had to add one onto the edge of the house here, and I was really dreading that because I thought it was going to ruin the whole look of the house. I thought it was just going to be awful, but it wasn't so bad, actually. Yeah, I did have to move that picture off of that wall and kind of redo how I did the dining room a little bit, but it was fine. I put just, a basic bathroom in here. I didn't want to spend too much time on it. It was the end of the build. I was already tired. I was like, oh, are you serious? I have to build a bathroom right now. But yeah, I did, and I put some clutter in here. I put 2 robes because I thought one of them would be Bella's and one of them would be Edward's. And I put toothbrushes up on the sink and some hand soap, and then I put some towels in here. I thought that the bottom, the pink and purple ones, could be Bella's and Renesmee's, and then the top ones could be Edward's. And yeah, and then I just had to make sure that the outside matched in the bathroom part to the rest of the house, and that's why I had to move that window. it wasn't gonna look right if I had kept it the way that it was, so I had to adjust it a little bit, and you can see that the curtains are clipping, and I was really frustrated with that. But it's fine. Yeah, I added a potted plant to replace the plants that I had to move to put this bathroom in here. And then I roofed the bathroom area, and like that, I thought the build was done. I was just double checking to see if there was anything else that I needed to add. I decided to add a chessboard out into the garden because they do play chess in Breaking Dawn, and I just thought it was super cute, like, to add something out to this garden. And I put these outdoor chairs in to make it match the garden a little bit better and not be such an eyesore. And I added this grandfather clock because there actually is a grandfather clock in the cottage, and I just thought it would be cool to add. And I added a thermostat so that it would be good for people who are playing with seasons. And just like that, the house is done. And you can see at the end, I'm like testing it in different lighting conditions, and it's super beautiful at night whenever like the path is illuminated. And yeah. And this is a look at the final build. Thank you so much for watching my video and for supporting my content. It means a whole lot to me, and that was my first time ever doing a voiceover, and I was kind of winging it, so I'm sorry if it was a little bit awkward, but I was doing my best. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already for more Sims and a little bit more Twilight content. I think I'm going to do one more build and 2 more cast videos, and then I'm going to be finished with my Twilight series, and I'm going to move on to a new franchise. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you next time. Bye!